Hi, hello lads. So today I'm going to go through all the basic rules of geometry with you. So the first rule revolves around two lines that cross each other. Now these lines have to be straight, okay? So it's called the opposite angles rule. Okay, so when you have two straight lines that intersect or cross over each other, opposite angles will be equal. So let's just, for the sake of argument, say that this is 80 degrees. That would mean that this is also 80 degrees. Okay, now I tend to remember this by using an X. If I see two lines that make an X, I can use this rule. Okay, now the second rule that this helps with is the straight line rule. So if this is a straight line, then all the angles that make up this straight line should equal 180. So if I already have 80, then the rest of the straight line must be 180, subtract the number I have, which would leave me with 100. And of course, now we're back to our opposite angles rule. If that's 100, this is opposite it. This is also 100. So as you can see, opposite angles when you get an X produced. Okay, so that's your opposite angles rule. Okay, so I'm going to practice this using this diagram. So I'm going to put in some of these angles and we're going to use the two rules to try and find them. The first rule I'm going to use is the straight line rule. Remember, in a straight line, all the angles add up to 180. And then we're going to use the opposite rule where opposite angles are the same. Okay, so I'm going to put in some angles and then we're going to find the other angles. So I'm going to put in 30 here. I'm going to put in 45 here. I'm going to put in 110 here, and I'm going to put in 120 here. So there's those angles. I'm going to put in 50 in here. That's all I'm going to write there. In this one, I'm going to put 85. And in this one, I'm going to put 60. And I'm going to try and find all the other angles. So let's start here. This is a straight line and this is 30. So the rest of this must add up to 180 because it's a straight line. So 30 take away 180. So that's 180 take away 30 gives me 150. So that one's 150. Now let's have a look at this one. Again, this is a straight line. And if I continue on that, the whole straight line should be 180. So that's going to be 180 subtract 45. So 180 subtract 45, I believe, is 135. So there you have it. Straight line. We'll do it again for here. This is 110. That's a straight line. So what's this missing one in here? Well, it's 180 minus 110, which is 70 degrees. So that's 70 degrees in there. So you can pause now and try the rest of them, and then I'm going to play on and you can see the rest of them. So this one is 120. So what's left in here to make a straight line? Well, it's 180 minus 120, which is 60 degrees. So that one in there is 60 degrees. And now we're down to this. So this isn't a straight line we're using now. We're using the X, or the opposites rule. So if this is 50, its opposite must be the same as well. So that must be 50. Now that I've got both of them, this now becomes a straight line. So let's figure out what this is. So if this is a straight line and I have 50, then 180 minus 50 is 130. So that's 130 degrees. And of course, that's opposite this side, so this must also be 130 degrees. Now let's find out the last two. If this is 60, let's find out what the remaining is. 60 take away 180 is 120 degrees. And then we've got our last one here. That's another straight line. 180 subtract 85 is 95 degrees. So that's a practice using straight lines. The two angles in a straight line, if they're cut, should equal 180. And then our x, our opposites rule. Okay, so let's have a look at a triangle. So first of all, we're going to have a look at a simple triangle, just to see what's going on in it. So here's a triangle. If one side in a triangle is 30 degrees and one side is, let's say, 100 degrees, how do I find the third side? Okay, well, the three angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. That's our rule. So I just subtract the ones I know. And that should give me what's left over. So in this case, 180 minus 30 is 150. 150 minus 100 is just 50. And that is the one you know. So that's the rule going forward for triangles. The three angles must equal 180. So let's do a little bit of a harder version of it. Okay? So in this case, I want to find two angles. So I'll start by finding the one that's inside the triangle. So these three angles must be 180. So that means that when I take the two I know away from 180, I should get the one I don't know. So 180 take away 60, take away 40 gives me 80. So A is 80. So now I can replace A with 80. But now I have a straight line and I need to know B. So 180 take away 80 should give me B. So that means B is 100. But I'm hoping you'll notice a trick here. That 100 that's out there is actually equal to the other two. 60 plus 40 added. So there's a little trick. If you don't know him, but you want to know that one quickly, just add the other two. And that's the basics. The next video, we'll have a look at quadrilaterals.